Hello, I am Maureen Long, founder of Camelot Cancer Care. We were the last DMSO clinic operating within the United States. We are now suppliers of Formula M, which some are calling the forbidden hope for cancer. Formula M was never on the menu when Camelot was operational. But once we launched within Latin America, we were soon able to develop a database proving efficacy within only a few months. The original version of this formula was driven underground in the early 1980s, back before the internet existed. It has long been suppressed by the agency we all know as the enforcement arm of the mainstream cancer industry. Formula M is now legally available in Mexico and countries further south, along with B17, also known as Laetrile or amygdalin, and other weapons in the alternative arsenal, often defamed by the cancer industry as fraudulent or ineffective. Investigative journalists dare not expose these issues, since the mainstream media now derives huge advertising revenues from Big Pharma. Formula M is named for Mildred Trumbull, a lay healer and medical maverick who pioneered the original version, and for myself, Maureen Long, who revived it, enhanced it, and removed it to a jurisdiction where it is legal. Pioneers get arrows in their backs. The efficacy of what was once known as Liliverum was never challenged or adjudicated in the courts. Many grateful former cancer patients came forward to testify at Mildred's trial, but were denied the chance. She was convicted on the narrow charge of practicing medicine without a license. Thus, the effectiveness of her treatment was ruled irrelevant from a legal standpoint. Mildred would have been released within a year or two, but she soon died in federal custody under suspicious circumstances. Her body quickly cremated before her family was even notified. Back in an era before cremation was a common practice. Formula M is named primarily in honor of this medical martyr who pioneered the earlier version of it, decades before it was revived, enhanced, and made available in Mexico and Central and South America. Because Formula M is now a compound of herbal extracts, which can be patented internationally, I am somewhat limited in what I am able to disclose at this time. Here is a general overview. The carrier solvent and delivery agent, or base for Formula M, is dimethyl sulfoxide, also known as DMSO. That substance alone is Mother Nature's own chemotherapy, refined from tree bark. It comes with amazing cancer-killing properties. It saturates all soft tissues throughout the body, flowing across cell walls and into interstitial spaces. Unlike standard toxic chemotherapy, DMSO can invade bone marrow, from which many malignant stem cells are believed to originate. It also readily crosses the blood-brain barrier and invades the cerebrospinal fluid. This explains the astonishing effectiveness we have witnessed over the years against glioblastoma multiforme, all categories of brain tumors, and malignancies which had progressed to bone metastases, generally considered beyond the reach of standard chemotherapy. Research evidence published in authoritative textbooks indicates the ability of DMSO by itself to selectively resolve cancer and even revert malignant tissue back to normal in some cases. And yet, U.S. clinics offering it to cancer patients have faced ruthless persecution. DMSO is known to soothe inflammation caused by radiation. It has been known since 2005 that cancer spreads by inflammation. Formula M begins with DMSO as its carrier base. When certain purified distilled botanical extracts are added to DMSO in the correct ratios and proportions and in the correct mixing order, the resulting IV formula becomes weaponized against cancer. The growing database shows ever more conclusive evidence, and it will be published in due time. Of course, everyone asks, what is in Formula M? The primary botanical ingredient is, of course, extract of Easter lily. This is a steroidal glycoside with a Trojan horse molecular mechanism similar to that of B17, only highly fungicidal as well. Formula M contains additional herbal extracts, all of which are classified as grass, generally regarded as safe. One of them is known to invade bone marrow and to target malignant stem cells, making it unlikely the patient will suffer recurrence of his cancer once he is in remission. Yet another purified extract is well known to protect the liver and helps to heal damage from standard chemotherapy. The final ingredient, like B17, is known to retard and inhibit metastatic progression, and in some instances to even reverse malignancy out of the lungs. That knowledge comes from German doctors from the Cold War era. It has long been suppressed by the mainstream cancer industry, which has no comparable chemical agent which can compete with it. Many ask the obvious question, are these herbs not available for oral consumption? Yes, some are, but studies have shown that the powdered encapsulated agents, even if fresh and from a pure source, are 80% neutralized by hydrochloric acid in the stomach, with only 20% ever reaching the bloodstream, if that. The patient simply cannot drink enough tea, nor swallow enough capsules to have any substantial effect against his or her cancer. Sterile, concentrated extract bound with DMSO and administered intravenously reaches the cancer, and these substances have an amazing effect in combination with DMSO as the catalyst and binding agent. Many ask, are there any side effects associated with Formula M? Yes, patients will experience typical Herxheimer reaction from tumor lysis syndrome. There will be die-off of tumor tissue, and this in turn will trigger rising uric acid levels in the bloodstream, which brings on spells of chills. It's not comfortable, other than emotionally, as hard evidence that the treatment is hitting the target. This is why detox, colon hydrotherapy, and/or coffee enemas are as important to successful treatment as is the proper diet. Patients often comment that their worst day on Formula M still beat their best day on standard chemotherapy, which failed them. It's only fair to disclose that DMSO has an odor. Patients undergoing treatment will smell like garlic and clams or oysters because they are outgassing DMSO, which is a sulfur compound, every time they exhale. But they never suffer hair loss and rarely ever have nausea and vomiting. Unlike standard chemotherapy, DMSO and the extracts within Formula M do not trigger miserable side effects which destroy the quality of life. And the smell is generally regarded as a fair trade-off, as it is gone within 72 hours of the final treatment. One round of treatment is administered over 20 days. Some patients choose to continue for a second or even a third round, depending on cofactors associated with their malignancy. I have saved the best news for last. One of the clinics within our supply network has reported seeing positive results from paracentesis, abdominal dialysis, using Formula M on some colon and ovarian cancer cases. As many of you know, both of those forms of malignancy are often diagnosed in late stage. The prognosis is all too often poor to grim when the cancer is found to be seated throughout the omentum. Usually, these patients suffer pressure from fluid buildup in the abdomen, known as ascites. This fluid is generated by the cancer and must be drained off on a regular basis, often weekly. One of the clinics in our supply network has reported that when their doctors drained ascites fluid and introduced Formula M directly into the abdominal cavities of patients, some did not need ascites drainage again. The ascites was apparently no longer being generated. You can draw your own conclusions from this evidence. Imaging scans are pending as of this recording. It would be premature and unethical at this point to announce any breakthrough, but the evidence, as witnessed, reported, and charted, was so promising that our organic chemists in Latin America are trading high fives, ecstatic at the prospect of lives that may now be saved for patients willing to travel to Mexico and other countries further south where Formula M is becoming available. I have tried to anticipate some of the most frequently asked questions about Formula M. Are there any forms of cancer which do not respond to Formula M? The answer is none that we have found yet. Formula M, based on DMSO, floods all tissues throughout the body. It penetrates bone, invades cerebrospinal fluid, and crosses the blood-brain barrier. It directly attacks the malignancy, yet does no harm to surrounding healthy tissue. For some forms of cancer, such as the leukemias, multiple myeloma, and malignancies which have a known viral trigger, such as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and cervical cancer, we recommend patients receive antiviral treatment known as UBI, ultraviolet blood irradiation, in addition to Formula M. Most clinics within our supply network offer UBI treatment as well. Yes, colon and ovarian cancer patients are being accepted into clinical trials for the paracentesis procedure using Formula M. No, these will not be double-blind crossover studies where a patient runs a 50% risk of being in the control group. All patient candidates who qualify for the treatment program will receive genuine Formula M, not a placebo. So, no, these clinical trials are not being offered for free. No, we do not ship treatment supplies containing Formula M to patients who are not under the care of one of the clinics within our formula supply network. Natural chemotherapy is still chemotherapy and requires medical supervision. Yes, we are expanding our supply network within Latin America and possibly to selected clinics in Europe and Asia in the future. No, we do not ship Formula M to any clinics within the United States. Please note, camelotcancercare.com is now camelotcancercare.is. The website is now based in Iceland. For doctors and clinic administrators, any further questions can be directed to Maureen at unseen.is. Gracias and buenos dias.